Honestly, this was gonna be I was gonna talk about this on my podcast. It's always personal because it runs into another situation, another common or regular experience that's really pissing me off, and I'm trying to figure out a way to not lose my job when I call somebody out for this bullshit. But I'm really starting to get I'm really at a point with every time a black athlete says something, it's a white person that's in this person's face or disagrees with what this person just said. It's something that's really pissing me. It's really pissing me off. Like this constant stay in your place on everything across the board. Stay in your place. That's what this shit boils down to. So earlier this week, a couple of different platforms had an issue with Bud Crawford saying what he said about Canelo Alvarez. You see, I'm days later, I'm still on this. But this is just a situation, man. Like, we know what Bud meant. We, meaning black people, black sports fans, we know what Bud meant. It's no big deal. So I saw the video on the Ringside Reporter channel. I had some words offline with B. We texted each other, and I'm like, I'm really not even disagreeing with you. Your point of view on it, I really don't care. You want some mainstream boxing shit, and the whole point, the whole angle that he took on it, fair play. That's your thing. But again, with Bud looking at the situation, it happens commonly. We got dude, and this is what I'm saying. Some of the people that say stuff don't even mean shit. Like, you're not even important. We got today we got Dillian White fighting against Povetkin. Dillian White, part of his approach to this fight is that he's gonna recapture his mandatory status for the WBC title. That's what he says. If I take Povetkin out, I get right back to where I was as being the WBC mandatory. That shit ain't true. That's not happening. The world has changed significantly since he got his ass knocked out. But nobody said Habib didn't go and make no video about how bullshit that statement is from Dillian White, because nobody gives a damn about Dillian White. But that's what he's been talking about for a couple of months now, ever since he got knocked out by Povetkin. I just got to beat Povetkin and I'll be right back in my mandatory spot. That's not true, bro. But ain't nobody saying nothing about that. We get to the situation where, like, because Canelo is what some people want Canelo to be in the sport of boxing, he can do whatever he wants to do and nobody's supposed to say anything. I mean, this man is getting the best money in boxing to go out there with the least amount of risk, and nobody is supposed to say anything about it. Every other fighter is supposed to go in here and go into a fight with the biggest risk possible. Whether the shit is really possible or not, when we look at the business of getting some of these other fights done, the expectation is for everybody to go out here in some 50-50 fight or some 45-55 fight. And nobody wants to pay these dudes for nothing. Or there's nobody's clamoring for them to do anything. But Canelo, like I said, this man can go out here and face freaking Callum Smith, and the whole mainstream media and some of these bigger channels, they go in here and make this like it's a real fight. That shit ain't no real fight. This is just a public, I mean, it's like a special appearance by Canelo. I understand Avni Yildirim was a mandatory. I get that. But the whole, what was my man's name? The old school cat. Shit, I can't think of his name. Kovalev. That shit wasn't no real fight. Mainstream media though, we got and I'm gonna be honest, I don't say nothing about these fights because I'm not paying $70 for any of those Canelo fights. So I don't give a shit about it either way. I paid $8 for the fight. I'll tune in and watch it. But if this shit was on pay-per-view, I wouldn't have bought none of that shit. I wouldn't have bought the Kovalev fight. I wouldn't have bought the Avni Yildirim fight. I wouldn't have bought the Callum Smith fight. I wouldn't have bought none of that shit. We don't even see nobody dig and find out what Canelo Alvarez is getting paid for these fights. Nobody, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were already talking about what Devin Haney is getting paid to fight Linares. I believe it was Coppinger. He go out there and say, oh, he's getting $3 million for this fight. Like, again, stay in your place. Like, why are y'all paying this young black man? Why are y'all paying him money for these fights? Why are y'all paying him like that? Already getting in this man's pockets. This dude is Devin Haney in the big scheme of things is nobody. But somebody is already worried about what he could become or what he's trying to do. I ain't seen a single tweet from none of those dudes about what Canelo Alvarez got paid for any of these fights. So then when Bud Crawford just comes out here and speaks his mind on it, some people are motivated to go say, stay in your place. Ryan Garcia. I didn't see none of this same energy when Ryan Garcia just said, I don't have to fight Devin Haney, even though I just became his mandatory by beating Luke Campbell. He was excited to fight Luke Campbell. But now when it comes to Haney, I ain't got to fight him. He needs to go do, he's so brazen and so disrespectful and so privileged that he can just go tell Devin Haney what his next 2 or 3 fights need to be for him to even consider fighting him. I said it the other day, I don't know if you're 147 pound, 154 pound and below black man, I don't know why you fucking around with boxing. You need to get your ass, when your boxing coach, when you 8 or 9 years old, you need to take these brothers to the local MMA shit and put them on a mat and let them get a ground game and do all that wrestling and grappling and shit. Let them go to mixed martial arts. You ain't got no history. You ain't got no future in boxing. 154 pounds and below, they don't have no need for you in boxing. You just standing around wasting your time. Bud Crawford, nobody says shit. None of these mainstream channels are upset at all with Top Rank. Like Bud Crawford said, you are my freaking promoter. Figure some shit out for me to promote me. Give me something to do. Nobody's saying nothing bad about Bob Arum, Todd DeBuff, Top Rank. Nobody has a series of videos pissed off about them that they can't do nothing with Bud Crawford. So Bud Crawford is blowing off some steam like, man, quit asking me about Errol Spence Jr. To hell with that fight. I can't make the shit happen. He like, I can't make the shit happen. I'm a fighter. I don't even get paid to put this shit together. But you asking me about it. What you want me to say? What do we want the man to do? You want the man to promote his own fights? Put his own cards together? Now, let's look at these little dudes with the WBC. Look what they just did for look how they just solved everybody's problem. In 2 weeks, look how they solved everybody's problem for the super flyweight division. They just went and bumped up Estrada to the WBC franchise champion. The whole issue was because Estrada won the rematch with Chocolatito. Many of us thought he didn't win it. But since he won it, the Rat King, Sarisaket Sorungvasai, he gets to fight. What is it? Contractually or whatever, he's supposed to fight Juan Francisco Estrada next, because he was the mandatory. But we get beyond the fight, we didn't get the result. Somebody didn't get the result that they wanted to see. So it's like, well, how can we get the trilogy between Estrada and Chocolatito instead of seeing Estrada against Sorungvasai? How can we do that? How can we make him? Can we pay him? How do we fix this? Mauricio Suleiman comes in. Oh, we got the fix for that. We'll bump you up to franchise champion. Now you don't have mandatories anymore. So Sorungvasai, you'll fight Quadras for the WBC, championship for the regular title, and then we can have a rematch with Estrada and Chocolatito. Problem solved. See how this shit come together for everybody else? But Bud Crawford sitting here like, shit, I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I don't have no moves. And it's crazy how it's a mix of the sanctioning body and the promoter on how this shit gets resolved or how this shit gets going. But again, here with Crawford and the whole Errol Spence situation and Top Rank, nobody is doing anything. There's no progress. There's no nothing. And then they just keep throwing a microphone in front of Bud like, why ain't you fighting nobody? And then when a brother gets pissed off at this shit and speaks his mind on it, then here they come. Here come the ops with the bullshit. Like they don't know. Like they don't know why the situation is what it is. But you want to complain about this man because he said, in his opinion, from his point of view, Canelo ain't fighting nobody. And then you go look at what who he just fought, and he ain't fighting nobody. But Bud is the liar. But Bud is the one spreading mistruth. Another thing that I did tell Beeb in the text messages between him and I, which I think I also put it on the video, commented on the video, and this is why I'm saying Bud must be important if you're really reacting to Bud's comments the way that you are. Bud is a fighter. He is not a member of the media. He's not Keith Idec on Chris Mannix's podcast. He's not Dan Raphael on Chris Mannix's podcast. He's not Dan Raphael on the Coppinger podcast. He's not out here speaking as the media, reporting on about what the state of boxing is. He's answering a question as himself. And when he's not fighting, he's a fan of the sport. The man goes to fights. He's in camp. He was in camp with Maurice Hooker. What's good, Finkley? The man just talking about boxing. And then we want to go piece this man's words up and try to use them against him. For what? What is the gain of that other than getting some clicks, other than getting some views on your video? But again, it's like, black man, stay in your place. Black athletes, stay in your place. And what I was going to talk about on my It's Always Personal podcast, I got 2 white women. This shit is really starting to, I'm really getting ready to possibly be on the carpet for going the fuck off on somebody. But I got 2 people that every time they talk to me, they got to tell me that athletes whine too much and that they get paid too much. And I'm just like, man, for the life of me, like, why every time I see you, you got to tell me about this shit? And it just makes you question the intelligence of some people, or the ignorance of some people, or just the hatred of some people, to come tell me that black people should stay in that place. It's basically what this conversation is every time I talk to these people. Like, let's not even talk about sports no more. Just say, just get your cup of coffee and go on about your way. Say hello and goodbye. But every time I talk to these two people, athletes get paid too much and they cry too much. How do you know about what they're talking? How do you know what they're talking about is them crying? How do you know what this person? What do you know about being a professional athlete to talk about that they're crying? I was just telling my wife yesterday, like, and the other thing that they say is they get paid too much to play a children's game. How can you continuously put this on the athlete when so much in this country is based around sports? How the fuck is this a child's game? How is this a children's game? Everything in this country is based around sports or the sports calendar. If Marvel has a $200 to $300 million movie coming out, they market that movie around what major sports game is going on. If I have a movie that's coming out that I spent $300 million to make, I'm going to put the commercials on the NBA Finals. I'm going to put the commercials on the AFC Championship game. I'm going to put the commercial on the NFC Championship game. I'm going to put the commercials. I'm going to put the extended trailer in the middle of the seventh inning stretch of the third or fourth World Series baseball game. Everything in this fucking country happens around sports, but we still got people talking about it's a children's game. How? I just saw Russell Wilson spends $1 million a year. He pays $1 million per year to maintain his body. What's a children's game about that? I want to ask this person, like, how is the athlete getting paid too much? When you go to a game, you got to pay $70, $50, $100 to park. How is the athlete getting paid too much? Go buy you a soda, you got to pay $17 for a damn soda. How is the athlete getting paid too much? You buy you a craft beer, $22 damn dollars. How is the athlete getting paid too much? It ain't nothing else in this country that makes 75,000 people show up or 30,000 people show up for an NBA game. 110,000 people show up for a Big Ten football game at Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. It ain't another thing in this country that attracts that many people to anything at one particular time. How is the athlete getting paid too much? I don't understand. How do you never talk about the person if the athlete is getting paid too much? How does one person or a small group of people in the team ownership, how does one person pay 53 people who you believe are all getting paid too much money? What the fuck does that person do to be able to pay 60 people who are all getting overpaid? This is when people need, just like I said, man, I'm just at a point, I don't want to talk to nobody, man. Like, I get tired of talking to people about dumb shit. Like, this is something that this person says to me every day when I see them. You know I don't like professional athletes. Why the fuck you talking to me about sports then? Let's just talk about whatever The Walking Dead or some shit you watch. Just tell me about that. Perfect question. How does Tom Cruise, how is he worth $20 million for a movie to go sit up in front of a green screen and have some cords attached to his ass Why don't you have a problem with him getting paid $20 million for a movie? That ain't child's play? I used to do that shit in my bedroom when I was 6 years old, jumping from the closet, from the dresser onto my bed. Why isn't movie making a child's game or child's play? Back to this Terrence Crawford thing so I can wrap this up. I didn't know everything that an athlete said in an interview. I didn't know every single thing that they said was like factually correct, down to the T. Crawford said what he said, just responding to this interview. And okay, so one person or two or three people over here have an issue with it. If you talk to any NFL running back, if you talk to any NFL wide receiver, you might have a guy who has the 6th most yards in receiving out of all wide receivers. He might have the 4th most touchdowns of all wide receivers. And if he gets in an interview, he's going to sit there and say, man, I'm the best in the game. I got the best hands in the game. I'm the best wide receiver in the game. Nobody goes across the middle like I do. Nobody can go deep like I can. Nobody does this. And then you look at the stats, and the dude is the 10th best ranked wide receiver, running back. I'm the most physical running back in the game. I play all 3 downs. I'm good in pass protection. I'm the most complete back in the game. You look at his stats, he got the 7th most yards, the 6th best yards per carry. Like, athletes just say shit. Who the hell is looking at athletes like they are world leaders or some shit? Like, you ask them a question, they give you an answer. Again, Terrence Crawford is not he's not Mike Coppinger on a podcast or Jake Donovan or one of these other dudes. He's a boxer talking about his sport. You got to look at yourself if you take the words that some of these people say and go lose your fucking mind about what they said. That's their opinion. If you sitting here working at if you sitting here working at Home Depot and you like, man, this shit, I'm tired. Or if you at Walmart, man, what the fuck are we doing in here working on Christmas or working on some holiday or whatever? And you just talking about your job. That's how you feel about your job. But we tell these athletes they ain't supposed to say nothing. They just shut up and dribble, put your helmet on and catch a ball, put this mouthpiece in and take these punches. We don't want to hear shit from you. That's some weird shit to me. That's some weird shit to me. All the time, money, energy, playing through injuries, risking your life, everything that these dudes do in all of these sports. Shit, if you stand in a batter's box with a dude throwing 106 mile per hour fastball, and this person over here is mad because they got to sit at their desk with a fucking mask on, and you talking about the dude standing in front of a 100 mile per hour fastball. Like, what are you talking about? Just shut up and enjoy the game, or go do something else, which a lot of people in this country have chosen to start doing. Don't watch sports. If you don't like the people on the court, if you don't like what they come from, what they stand for, how they think, how they look at the world, go do something else. It's free to do that. Terrence Crawford can't talk about Canelo Alvarez. Well, and then it's like, well, Canelo Alvarez doesn't talk about other fighters. I guess I wouldn't. wouldn't. Why would I say anything about anybody else when I'm getting paid how I want to get paid, fighting who I want to fight? Why would I say anything about anybody else? I don't want to mess my shit up. I don't want nobody to start asking no questions about me and actually notice the fact that I'm robbing these people with a ski mask, getting this great money, not really risking shit. I'm getting 20, 25 million to face Kovalev. No challenge. I'm getting 20, 25 million to face Callum Smith. No challenge. I'm getting 15, 20 million dollars to face Avni Yildirim with my 20-minute ring with my 20-minute ring walk entry shit. No challenge. And don't nobody say nothing. Ain't no complaints. You think I'm gonna talk about what anybody else is doing? Nah, man, I'm gonna be quiet, be humble. Didn't he do the Mike Tyson podcast and spoke English on there with Mike Tyson, but all over the place, everywhere else, he don't speak no English. But now he go do hot boxing with Mike Tyson, and the dude on there speaking perfect English. Like, dude can do whatever he wants to do, and nobody says nothing. Everybody else supposed to fall in line. It's crazy, man. Hey, let me get on off of here. Them fights come on. I think they start on the zone at 3 o'clock today. I'm just gonna watch the shit. I don't really have no dogs in the fight. Somebody probably get knocked out. Somebody probably get knocked out. I don't really have a winner or a loser in it. I'm just gonna check it out. The rest of the card, I'm gonna just watch whatever and be on my way. There was something else I was gonna mention. That April 10th card on ESPN, man. I think that's a pretty good day for ESPN Plus and ESPN with Joe Smith and Maxine Vlasov in the main event. But the heavyweights that are on there, they just named Jared Anderson to be fighting one of them Carpentry brothers. F.A. Ajagba's on there fighting somebody. Maybe he's fighting Brian Howard. I might have him mixed up. Sonny Kanto is supposed to be back on there again. Dude has been MIA for over a year now. It was somebody else Jeremiah Milton, a heavyweight. I think he's out of the Midwest somewhere. He's on there. So I just think it's going to be a good opportunity to see some heavyweight fighters on TV. Wife just came home. I got to go. Peace.